Are you ready, kids?
Aye, aye, Captain.
I can't hear you.
Aye, aye, Captain.
Oh. I'm sorry that it took me so long to get my notes together.
It's fascinating. I want to know what you're going to talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, we were supposed to record Wednesday night and then Thursday night and then Friday. I wasn't really ready Friday, so
Yeah.
when we were supposed to record, I wasn't ready. And actually, I cut down a lot of what I had.
I had a lot of documents to go through.
Okay, just I want to know what you want. I had a 6-hour podcast I was listening to, and then I decided this is way deeper than I have time for. I don't have 6 hours.
Yeah.
I've got about 30 to 40 minutes.
Yeah. Anyway, how was your week before we dive in?
I know. I was like, wait, oh, right.
We cannot skip the pleasantries.
We can't
skip the banter.
The banter. The week was good. I got home Monday. Unexpected day off Tuesday.
We haven't actually talked about your trip on the podcast. We talked about it and another thing.
Oh, yeah. I went to, I don't know why I can't talk. Cake. She's like, I got the noisy thing. I got the noisy bone.
Good. So yeah, you.
I went to Texas for the weekend.
Yeah.
To visit fam.
You got me a Roswell hoodie that I love.
I got you a Roswell hoodie. I have planned us a little overnight excursion to Roswell.
Yeah.
I don't have it scheduled, but
don't
I have
know when it's going to happen, but yeah.
One day. It'll be just like a
Friday,
Saturday.
Well,
Friday, Saturday might be.
We'd have to get someone to cover pies.
Yeah, we could figure it out.
Yeah.
Roswell is alien town. Do, 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 do. But yeah, it was a good trip.
Yeah.
Unexpected day off Tuesday, which was nice.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
And then work, and then here we are.
Yep. We don't lead very interesting lives.
We don't. We don't.
Yeah.
We want to. In our heads, we have fascinating journeys and adventures, but in real life, we just drive to work and back. And
yep, we go to work and come back here and do some other work. And then we go to work again
and then come
back here and stay up way too late, doom scrolling. And then we go to sleep.
And then we wake
up and go to work.
And do it all again. That's how was your week? How was your weekend without me here?
Super productive.
I'm sorry.
I like deep cleaned.
I know. I'm not sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, you deep cleaned.
No, I know you feel bad because I was productive while you were out of town.
Yeah. And
I'm not productive any other time.
To be fair, neither am I.
I am lazy AF.
No, I don't think you're lazy. I think, I don't know. Not lazy. I don't think you're lazy.
Yeah, I'm not lazy on purpose.
Executive dysfunction is a thing.
Yeah, and for most ADH people,
body doubling.
Thanks. That works. But for me, if there is somebody with me, I'm not going to be productive.
Same.
I would be when it comes to doing stuff like on the computer, but actually getting housework done. If there is somebody here, I just don't do it, which is stupid and very difficult when you have a roommate.
Same. And I have some other struggles of when I do or when I used to do housework when someone else was in the house and then had it critiqued and told I was doing it wrong. So I just quit doing it.
Yeah.
Over years. It was difficult. So now it is easier for me to do stuff when you're not here. So I understand
this is why we have to keep our days off on different days.
Yep. And it works though.
Yeah, that works. But yeah, I did a deep clean of the whole living room. I scrubbed our floors and rearranged the furniture and de-haired all the furniture. It has hair on it now.
Well, yeah.
That never lasts long, but I ordered new rugs.
I'm
that
excited they
about.
arrived. I'm excited
One of them, the kitchen rug, arrived today, or the dining room, whatever we want to call it. They kind of blend together.
Blend,
but yeah, that one came today, but I have not scrubbed that floor. The living room rug should be here sometime next week. I don't know.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see them.
They're cool.
I just saw the picture and I'm like,
yeah.
It's a picture.
I mean, it's a rug.
Yeah, it's a rug.
They were on sale. Like, if I had my choice of rugs, they would probably be super nerdy and stuff. But these were just from rugs.com. And
not an ad.
Yeah,
but if you'd
sorry,
like to
not
be.
a sponsor, but if you want to be, I've got your rugs and I will praise them every single episode. Kind of a strange random sponsor for us.
I mean, you know.
Hey.
I'll hashtag rugs in the
hashtag rugs
show notes.
Cool.
Anyway.
But yeah, I got a lot done. It was good.
Cool.
It was nice that I didn't have to go to work either while you were gone.
Yeah.
That way I planned to just do nothing but clean over the weekend. I also, I want to find a way to incorporate yoga into our Patreon, which is like weird.
I'm excited for this.
It's like a weird thing to want to do, but I like doing yoga. And while I have this platform, I might as well, offer it to people who are interested. And I'm sort of trying to frame it within the fantasy genre. And I came up with some cool ideas for
cozy yoga.
Cozy yoga. Yeah, cozy fantasy yoga. So I worked on that.
I'm excited. I haven't like pestered you about that because I just want you to.
Nah, and
I'm excited to see it when it's unveiled.
I just have like, I think 4 or 5 poses that I came up with fantasy kind of flavor for.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Cool. I'm excited.
Cool. So yeah, maybe sometime in the future, if you are interested in yoga, you should join our Patreon because I will be releasing yoga videos.
Patreon.com/JessandHids.
And please join.
Join us.
Oh, another thing that we did today was we made fun little bracelets for our Blade Dancer merch.
Oh, yeah.
They say warm embers. And
we're doing some keychains too for some people.
Yep. Bracelets and keychains for Blade Dancers.
So that's fun.
Yeah.
I am actually working on packing all that stuff.
I guess I should explain that Blade Dancers, what I mean when I say that is that's our highest tier. That's the name of the highest tier in Patreon. It's the $20 a month tier, and they get monthly merch. We mail it out quarterly, but they get 3 little bits of merch with every quarterly mailing. And yeah, they're getting bracelets and some other fun little surprises.
Fun stuff. I'm excited.
Yeah.
If you signed up for our Rook Runner 5K and you haven't got your medal yet, you'll get it next week.
Yeah.
I got a handful out, or I got about half of them out before I left on my trip, and I'm getting the rest of them out.
Getting stuff done, and it's been good.
Let's get this done.
Let's get this done.
So
I'm
of
excited.
The 27 episodes, Jess has gone first.
Someone actually went through. Thank you, Jim. He went through and figured out who went first each episode. And he gave us a spreadsheet.
Built a spreadsheet that is going to continue to count that for us.
So of our, let's see, this is episode 28. So of the 27 episodes that we have released, a few of them don't count because they were movie reviews.
Count.
Okay, 5 of them don't count because they were either movie reviews or the Ask Me Anything or like the bonus stuff. You have the numbers in front of you.
I do have them in front of me. So 5 of them don't count. So of the 22 episodes where we had our back and forth, you went first 15 times and I went first 7 times.
I can't even remember 7 times. That seems high to me.
It seems high to me. I was but I know I've gone first a couple times, but
yeah,
7 times.
I'm not doubting the data.
No.
It's just so weird because it seems like I'm always the one. But yeah.
I mean, you've gone time twice. Oh my word. I can't make the
I've gone time twice.
You've gone first twice as many times as I have.
Yeah.
Want to see
All right.
who goes first tonight?
Yeah, let's roll.
All right. Oh, no. You got a 4.
This might be number 8 for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I got a 14.
14.
Okay.
Sweet.
All right.
I'm going to get comfy.
So now it's going to change 15 to 8. I got a recurring card.
Cool.
I wasn't ready. I'm not ready to go first.
Now you know how I feel. 15 out of 22 episodes? 23, I guess, counting this one.
I'm just going to start. I don't know.
I mean,
I don't have my little quote. I was looking for my quote, and because I had a certain way I was going to do it, but I don't have it. I didn't write it down, apparently. Who knows? We're going to go.
You said, I'm just going to start, and I'm like, yeah.
In 1996 in Abilene, Texas reporter Brian Bethel posted about an alleged encounter with some children that approached his vehicle as he was sitting outside of a theater marquee.
Okay, Abilene, Texas. That name, you're talking about Black-Eyed Kids.
I'm talking about the Black-Eyed Kids.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, this is so creepy. Oh, man. Should we turn out the light?
No, because then I won't be able to see.
Tell me about the Black-Eyed Kids.
So, tabloid coverage. Man, I cannot make the words. Mm-hmm. Let's start that sentence over. Tabloid coverage of these creatures claim that Black-Eyed Kids have existed since the 1980s, although most sources say that it started in 1996 from this post written by Brian Bethel. This is the guy who first started this.
Before you go any further, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
What is the recurring card you drew?
Urban legends.
Urban legends. Okay, because I've heard them lumped in with cryptids.
Yes,
but like in my mind, I don't really know if they're cryptids.
Call them a cryptid.
Yeah,
they're, I think, officially called a creepypasta.
Yeah,
but I go or ease.
Or ease. Are they aliens? I don't know.
Well, unsure.
Okay, sorry. I had to break in for that.
That's fine. That's totally fine. If you don't know what a black-eyed kid or black-eyed children are, they are typically seen as young kids, 9 to 15 years old, sometimes a little older, sometimes a little younger, but in that age range. They are often seen wearing hoodies or coats with hoods that kind of will initially cover their faces when they first approach you.
Mm-hmm.
They usually speak very properly for children of their age, very straightforward, very self-assured, but also very mechanical almost. And they are typically a little pale.
That just like talking about the way they speak is very strange. Because like I've heard kids say things that you wouldn't expect a kid to say, and it's a little off-putting. But then the kid goes back to being normal, and you're like, oh, they just heard that from somewhere, and like I don't know. It's creepy. Kids being creepy. That's creepy.
Yeah. They're creepy. But of course, the most distinct thing about them is their eyes.
Yeah.
They are completely black. Not just like the iris and pupil. The entire eye, the sclera, everything is just a black. It has also been described as a void, or not even, like the appearance of not even having eyes, just black.
A void
holes.
or not even.
Or not even. Like, not even.
Okay. The no eyes there? I have not heard that particular description. That creeps me out.
Yeah, I don't like
the
that
absence
one.
of eyes, just a sunken
like
cavity.
Just a cavity.
Ew.
Yeah, don't like. I
no.
don't. Nope.
No, thank you.
Nope. Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit.
Chills. I just got.
So what I want to say is I listened to 4 hours of 6.5 hours worth of a podcast. And I'm going to link it. It's Astonishing Legends. They are fabulous podcasts.
I've never listened to Astonishing Legends, but I have heard about that podcast. I have also heard that they do tend to be very long-winded about their topics.
They're long-winded.
But they go in depth.
They go really in depth. And that's where about halfway through, I was like, I got to finish listening to this, but this is way more than one I have time to cover. I don't have the time to unpack all of this. And I actually learned about a lot of, there's several very like if you had to do a top 5 of the well-known black-eyed kid sightings. Encounters.
Yeah.
You have Brian Bethel. You have a husband and wife that actually let the kids in their house. And then there are like 1 or 2 other ones that are very creepy. And those are like every podcast you listen to are going to talk about those. And every website you look up are going to talk about those. Astonishing Legends went a little more in depth, and they found several other sightings and actually interviewed several other people that I found. I was just like, whoa, this is crazy. Some of what was happening. But they did actually interview Brian Bethel, who doesn't normally do interviews anymore. He's kind of like, it just like, and then I found it interesting that he kind of got well known for being on the Monsters and Mysteries TV show. And in this interview with Astonishing Legends, he was like, yeah, I kind of wish I didn't do that. Because he wanted to go on and talk about his experience. And I'm gonna kind of read it because it's really good and it's in depth. But he said the Monsters and Mysteries was like, and where this happened, was there any kind of spooky things there? And they kept like pressing him to make the location paranormal, or something in the area paranormal, or some like add to it, kind of sensationalize the whole thing. And he was like, look,
no, it's just a thing that
happened. Just a thing that happened. And he's like, it's like, you can go to that where that theater was. It's a second run theater. They do cheap movies, and you could go there. I think he says now this was a couple years ago that I listened to this interview that happened, but he said, I think a church has bought it and turned it into like a church, like a place of worship or whatever. So I'm going to read his story really quick. Well, I'm going to say really quick. And then I have some more sightings. But then after I read his, because that's kind of our starting point, I have a little bit of information that kind of points that his is not actually the first time black-eyed kids are mentioned in history.
Oh, interesting.
So we'll get that. But we're going to get through. I'll read you Brian's report. And I got this from the skeptoid.com, which was funny because that's the site that glitched
the link
on
was
you.
Working for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was going to make a nighttime payment for his internet service at the time in 1996. So he says, I drove by the theater on the way to the center and pulled into an empty parking space. Using the glow of the marquee to write out my check, I was startled to hear a knock on the driver's side window of my door. I looked over and saw 2 children staring at me from the street. Both were boys, and my initial impression was that they were somewhere between 10 to 14. I rolled down the window very, very slightly and asked, yes? The spokesman, this is the older boy, he explains in his interview. He says that he called him the spokesman and then the other guy, the other kid.
Okay.
The spokesman smiled, and very broadly, his teeth were very, very white. And he said, hey, mister, what's up? We have a problem. He said his command of language was incredible, and he showed no signs of fear and spoke as if my help was a foregone conclusion. And he mentioned, like, this is, Brian is a reporter and a journalist, and he's interviewed tons of people through his career.
Yeah.
And he says when you interview, or even when you're talking to children, they tend to not look you in the eye, or they shuffle their feet, or they fidget.
Yeah. I mean, kids aren't usually that confident talking to strangers, especially when you just randomly knock on a car window
at night
to presumably ask a favor. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He says, come on, mister. Now, we just want to go to our house, and we're just 2 little boys. Come on, mister, let us in. Right?
We're just 2 little boys.
We're just 2 little boys.
Wow.
Just, come on, mister, let us in. We can't get in your car until you do, you know.
Uh-huh.
And then he said, this little bit that I have here is very condensed because he actually said like they then were like, we want to go home and get money for the movie. And he was like, what movie? And they're like, Mortal Kombat. And so he like glances up at the marquee and it says Mortal Kombat's playing, but it started 30 minutes ago. And it's the last showing of the night. So these kids are going to go home and get money and come back to watch probably 10 minutes of a movie.
Yeah.
You know, so he was like, and he said he was just kind of, he didn't roll his windows down or anything, like just that little crack. And when he like looked at the marquee and then looked back at the kids, he says the spokesman is staring at him. And that's when he sees that their eyes, for the first time, I noticed their eyes. They were coal black, no pupil, no iris, just two staring orbs reflecting the red and white light of the marquee. And at that point, I know my expression betrayed me. The spokesman got louder. We can't come in unless you tell us it's okay. Let us in.
Like vampire rules.
Right? So he says, Brian says, I just dropped the car in reverse, backed up.
Yeah.
And he's like, thank goodness no one was behind me. He said, I just dropped a new car in reverse, spun around, drove out of the parking lot, looked in the mirror, gone. No boys, no children anywhere in the parking lot.
Freaking creepy.
Yeah. He was just like, what the heck just happened? When he went and posted this story, it became kind of this big thing. And there are a lot of people out there who are like, oh, yeah, sure. He was just like talking about, he had just been on some, I was going to say Reddit, but there wasn't a Reddit in 1996, but on some forums and chat boards and stuff talking about paranormal, supernatural stuff.
Yeah. And
about the Bloody Mary game. Like that day he had made a post to a website called alt.magic, MAGICK, and he discussed the childhood belief of the Bloody Mary game, which you just discussed.
Wow.
Right? I was like,
that was the last urban legend card. Yeah.
I was like, I read that. I'm like, uh-oh. But he posed this question. He posed the question of whether such an imagined entity might actually become real, driven by the belief of enough people. And I'll read his quote. Like a tulpa. Yeah. Here's what he wrote. Then I thought to myself, what a situation ripe for spontaneous expression of magic. The will, in this case, is the belief, especially among those who were brave or foolish enough to try the ritual itself. The method by which the necessary reality shift would be accomplished is the fear the story and the imagined entity produced. So, can we create something like Mary just by a collective force of will? If not just childhood legends, why not gods and goddesses as well? Are they all just expressions of enough collective reality shifts, or can they somehow exist on their own? So they basically said, well, you posted that earlier, and then you came back later that night and told us about these black-eyed kids. And now are you trying to create this?
He devised some sort of experiment, like social experiment, to see if his story would catch on.
Exactly.
Well, it did.
I mean, it did, yeah. There was shortly later, I don't have the full details on this one, but there was a similar unrelated encounter in Portland, Oregon around the same time. But what I found interesting in this, and I do, if you're really into this, do listen to the Astonishing Legends. It's 3 parts that total about 6 hours, but there are like, they have commercials and they do kind of talk about some stuff in between there. But it's definitely worth the listen to. I found it fascinating listening to the interviews and some of the stories that they told. But one thing I did like is that they did talk about sightings prior to Brian's sighting in 1996. Sorry, I have like something on my face that's driving me
Probably
crazy.
Cat hair.
Probably. In the 1980s, in the Cannock Chase in Birmingham, UK. Yeah, Birmingham. Sorry. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't something else. I was like, I'm totally saying it wrong. So in Cannock Chase in Birmingham in the UK, there was a place where people would go that was actually like a well-known tourist spot, a beauty area they would go, and they started having reports of black-eyed children being seen. Alerted by what sounded like screams, a woman came across a wandering, sightless specter while walking the Birches Valley. She said, "We heard the screams. We instantly started running towards the noise. We couldn't find the child anywhere and stopped to catch our breath. and then turned around and saw this girl behind me. She was about 10 years old. She had her hands over her eyes, like you would do, like waiting for, she says, as if she were waiting for a birthday cake.
That's a nope.
That's a nope.
That's a nope.
She says, I asked if she was okay and if she had been the one screaming. She put her arms down by her side and opened her eyes. That's when I saw they were completely black. No iris, no white, nothing.
Nope, nope, nope.
I jumped back and grabbed my daughter. When I looked again, the child was gone. It was so strange.
And that was in the 1980s.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's creepy.
And then another guy, Lee Brickley, who is from Cannock Chase, says, in the summer of 1982, my aunt was 18 years old, and she and her friends would often meet there in the evening, probably in the way teenagers still do today, just kind of go hang out. One evening just before dark, she heard a little girl frantically shouting for help. Rushing to locate the sound, she stumbled upon a dirt track and caught sight of the girl, about 6 years old, running in the opposite direction. When my aunt caught up, the girl turned around and looked her in the eyes and then ran off into the dark woodland. Her eyes had been completely black with no trace of white. There was a police search, but to no avail. At that time, no one had any reason to believe anything paranormal was going on. The girl certainly appeared to be of flesh and blood. So in this area, there are multiple sightings, and he actually has a book.
Who's he?
Lee Brickley.
Okay.
His book is entitled UFOs, Werewolves, and the Pigman.
Oh, okay.
Exploring England's strangest location, Cannock Chase. And so I kind of want to get the book. Maybe. We'll see.
Is that like a well-known
I don't know.
place for
Cannock Chase
legends?
is like a place of legends. There's a lot of...
Is it like the equivalent of our Appalachia?
I didn't dive deep into it. But now I want to. But apparently they have a pigman there too. And werewolves. But going on with the pre-1996, the Iroquois Nation, or the Iroquois Confederacy, actually has some legends of black-eyed beings called the Otcon. And I actually found two different descriptions. The one in Astonishing Legends where they describe this, the Otcon would seduce unwilling Iroquois women, and the resulting pregnancy would be a child that was pale skin and black-eyed.
Oh.
And these were considered cursed children, and they would, the children upon birth were immediately murdered, burned, and ashes scattered in 4 directions to break up the evil magic.
Mm-hmm.
So they were thought that the Otcon were malicious entities who would attack the tribe and destroy the forest, or, kind of destroy their lands. So, and then they would also produce these weird, odd children.
Yeah.
So that was like, if this child was born, you got rid of it. But sometimes the children would not be killed. Then they would later be seen. I do want to say in the Astonishing Legends, I was listening to it and it sounded like the children were called Otcon, but the Otcons are actually stone giants who were a powerful stone-like beings that once threatened the Iroquois people. And they had just an insatiable appetite for destruction. So, and this is from a folklore.earth website. And they had really fascinating stuff on a lot of indigenous peoples and tribes.
Cool.
That I'm like, I could spend way too long on this website too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just found it fascinating that concept of this black-eyed child being, this feeling of evil was actually something that existed.
Yeah.
And there were also earlier sightings and I didn't write down the dates because I got too into listening to the podcast. But in the 1500s in Scotland and Ireland, there were also stories told of black-eyed children or black-eyed beings who were symbols of evil or omens. So I thought that was kind of fascinating that this does exist prior to being this creepypasta.
Yeah.
It just kind of became viral in the 90s, and then more and more stories started coming out. There is a bit on Astonishing Legends where they talk about white-eyed children, and I did not deep dive into that, but one brief conversation was that the black-eyed children were the evil side and the white-eyed children were kind of the balance of it. And there was one conversation, not conversation, one sighting that they mentioned where a guy heard this knocking, went out to his door, and these two black-eyed kids were there, and they were trying to get in. They were banging on his door, and he locked his door, and he's like, I went and got a gun, and I was like going to chase these kids off my porch because they were scaring him. And when he got back out there was a young girl there, and she was very pale, but she had completely white eyes. And he was like, he got to the door, and she just looks at him, and she says, there were two boys here. And he was like, yeah, they were, I'm going to chase them off. You need to go too. Like, he was like, kind of still like, you go too. And she's like,
still riled up. Yeah.
She was like, okay, they're still around. I'll take care of them. And then like, she just disappeared, like walked off his porch and disappeared.
She was hunting them.
Yeah. So I was like, what? I need to know more on this. But again, like I deep dove down and listened to this part of this podcast. And then like, I need to go find white-eyed children. But I'm like, no, focus. I don't have 6 hours to talk about all the things. So I did want to like just read you some sightings because so I got these sightings off of several different Reddit threads, and I'll post the links to them because there's more sightings, but I just kind of grabbed a few of them that I found kind of interesting, and also that were short, and also that were written in a format that I could read.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people post on Reddit and it's just a massive blocks of text
punctuation,
with run-on sentence and and I'm just like,
yeah,
I want to read all this, but sometimes it's hard. Okay. My first one says, I've read a couple accounts that sounded on the up and up. One was a woman who let 3 BEKs, or black-eyed kids, in one night because it was cold and snowing. The 3 kids immediately wandered into different rooms individually, which made her uncomfortable. One did go immediately to a phone in the back of the house without being directed and made a call which she never got to hear the content of because she was busy rounding up the other 2. As soon as he got off the phone, they all went to a front window, and in just a few minutes, a long black car pulled up seemingly out of nowhere. When the kids got out to it, a professional-looking man got out, opened the back door, and all 3 kids got in, and they left. The woman said she had ended up with some health issues several months later, but I can't remember exactly what they were. She did say she got a nosebleed later that night that she wasn't used to having. She stated that she was sorry she had let them in as soon as they entered. She felt a strong feeling of fear and dread, and the atmosphere suddenly felt strange. And I remember reading that or hearing that encounter on another podcast several months ago.
Yeah.
Where it was like, we just need to use your phone to call our parents. And she was like, oh, yeah, okay. And then they came in, and she was like, it was like as they came in, she realized their eyes are black.
Yeah.
But now they're in my house, and this kind of feeling of unease. And then like she did have continual health problems after that.
Interesting.
And there was another one of the more popular sightings is of a man and a woman who let black-eyed kids into their house. Mm-hmm. And he, several months later, he started having health problems. And then he went in and it was found he had cancer. And then she had health problems. And it just kind of, up to that point, they had not had any issues.
Was that the story where they detected like radiation?
Yeah. Yes.
Or something? Yeah. That was weird.
That was a weird one.
Yeah.
And that one was another one where I think like the car came up and picked the kids up, which is like, okay, Men in Black.
Uh-huh.
Okay, my next sighting, also from another Reddit thread, says, I recently read a story about the black-eyed kids, and it felt like a twisted tale of deja vu. I believe I've encountered a black-eyed kid. I've never mentioned this particular detail about the eyes to anyone for fear they would think I was fabricating the story or going crazy. The incident took place about 13 years ago. I had just moved to a new city with my wife. We were small-town newlyweds from the Midwest. We moved cross-country to one of the biggest cities in the Southwest so I could attend graduate school. Being naive and new to city living, I habitually answered the door without a second thought. Never again after this. The first thing that should have tipped me off to the peculiarity of this situation was the fact that someone was knocking at 6 a.m. The second thing,
I would not.
I would not even
door.
answer it. I'm like, nah, man, nah. The second thing that should have dawned on me is this kid had to reach over a rather tall patio gate to unlatch and open it. The knock at the door was startling. My wife and I were getting ready for work, a pretty normal routine. The moment I opened the door, I was overtaken with an inexplicable sense of fear. To this day, I can picture him. Teenager, average height, average build, knee-length black leather coat, short black hair, and sunglasses. The sunglasses at 6 a.m. struck me as odd, and even more odd, he was eating an apple. He was very polite and asked if he could come in and warm up. I said no, closed the door, and slid the security chain in place. A moment later, another knock. I opened the now chained door, and before I could speak, he asked again if he could come in and warm up. No, I reply in attempt to close the door. Before the door could shut, he put his hand out, stopping the door on its hinges, and he looked directly into my eyes, still wearing his sunglasses, and said, "Can I at least get some ketchup for my apple?"
What? That's so gross.
Yeah, gross. I'm like, ew. F that, I reply, a little confused. Get the heck out of here. My wife is calling the police. He takes a moment to let this information sink in, lowers his glasses, revealing eyes as black as obsidian, and says, "No, you won't be calling anybody." At that moment, I forced the door closed, locked it, and called out to my wife. She is scared crapless, hiding in the bedroom. All jacked up on adrenaline, I ripped the curtains back to look out the window next to the door. He's gone. Absolutely no trace of him. I go out on the patio and check the gate. It's still latched from the inside. That was crazy, I think to myself as I turned to enter the house, and I noticed a half-eaten apple lying on the ground.
With no ketchup.
With no ketchup. He
didn't want to finish it without ketchup.
I mean, it's got to have ketchup.
Yeah.
The thought of ketchup on an apple, if you like ketchup on your apples, that you do you, but
you know what?
I just like,
I would try it, but oh man.
No. Don't ever do that around me. I will judge you harshly.
Maybe it's a weird food craze that, like
that's one of the things about the Black Eyed Kids is they tend to not get things quite right.
Yeah.
There is one of those other really popular sightings where they asked to come in and use the telegraph.
Uh-huh.
May we come in and use your telegraph? And you're like, my what? Telephone? Oh, yes.
Wrong century, kid.
So it's like they almost got it right. I would like some ketchup for my apple.
Are they aliens?
I mean, they might be. Let's go with that.
Or just not quite human.
Yeah. The not kids.
The not kids.
Like not deer.
Yeah.
Okay. Next thing. My grandma encountered 3 of them. They asked her if they could come in. We have a garden with the balcony door which leads into the living room, but they didn't look directly at her. They stared at the floor. One of them asked her if they can use her phone to call their parents, and my grandmother, that just says grandma. I don't know why I had to say grandmother there. My grandma told me she had never felt such dread, but thought nothing of it because they were kids. She says yes and let them in. She told me that they then finally looked at her with eyes that were so black. She never saw something like this ever in her life. She froze and just watched them walk into our hallway out of sight. Then my grandma followed after a second or two, and they were gone. Simply vanished into thin air.
Wow.
She was genuinely scared and confused when she told me this. My grandmother would never make such things up or ever talk about the paranormal in general, let alone having access to the internet, because she simply doesn't understand how all this works. She never used a computer in her life. She's a Turkish grandma from an old generation. I Googled and froze after reading about this phenomena. This happened 7 years ago. The story is startling me every time I think about it. My poor grandma.
Oh,
It's like, poor grandma.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Some of these I'm like, I was born and raised in the plains of Texas, specifically in an area where Black-Eyed Kids sightings are prevalent. I had heard the stories, the tales, the legends. I'm thinking Abilene.
Yeah.
whatever you want to call them, since I was a young man, but never truly believed them. The black-eyed kids was mainly something I entertained as a joke or something to get a rise out of people. This changed in the summer of 2009. It was a warm night in June. I was up late, around 2 a.m., as I typically like to stay up late, especially in the summer, since it would stay fairly warm even after the sun went down. I had just run up to the store to grab a big fountain drink and was returning into my house through the back door when I was approached by 2 children, a boy and a girl. I was very startled once I realized they were there, since I wasn't expecting to encounter anyone in my backyard so late at night. The little boy asked, "Could we come in? We need to use the phone. We are lost." This is when I noticed the blackness of their eyes. Both of them had eyes so black they were like pits. This is also when my heart sank. I couldn't believe I was actually seeing them, that they were right in front of me. As I mentioned before, I had heard the legends of the black-eyed children most of my life, so there was no way I was going to let them in my house. I darted in the back door and locked it as quickly as I could. Once I was inside, I ran upstairs and flipped on the lights to try and see if they were still outside. Thankfully, by then, they were gone. I had so much adrenaline pumping by that point, though, that I grabbed a weapon and began searching the house and making sure all doors and windows were locked. It took me hours to get to sleep that night, and it's an encounter that will stay with me for the rest of my life. These entities took the form of something people view as innocent, weak, and mild, and tried to trick unsuspecting people to do God knows what with or to them. I'm just glad my reflexes kicked in and I was able to live to tell the tale.
I mean, the author of that post touched on like that visceral fear of something so creepy coming from something that should be innocent, like kids.
And that's like a paranormal thing.
It's definitely a trope to have like creepy kids.
Just to kind of, because we want to help children. I mean, you know, it's a natural thing to help little things smaller than you.
Yeah. And like kids are innocent. They haven't learned how to be evil yet, you know? And yeah, just something that unsettling coming from a kid.
Yeah, and just that I'm not like I don't really like kids. I'm not a big fan of kids, but I've never been afraid of a child.
Yeah.
Like a kid walks up to me, if I'm afraid, I'm like, "Oh gosh, don't talk to me," because I don't want to. Yeah.
But it's not like a primal fear.
It's more like
I don't really know how to.
Like it's like, don't talk to me. Where's your parents? Go find your parents. Go. Shoo.
I don't fear the child. I fear the germs that the child carries.
The germs.
I'm kidding. I don't actually fear children. I used to work with kids.
I know
so
you're much better with kids than I am.
Yeah.
But yeah, like this. So you don't have that fear when you see a kid, but these kids, that's kind of a thing. You immediately start to feel this nervousness or this fear.
It seems like in pretty much all of the stories, there's like an aura of fear and uneasiness that accompanies them that you don't feel until you actually invite them in.
Yeah. There's like an awkwardness at first, like what are these kids doing here? Weird hour of the night, or it's cold and they're just here in like a hoodie and jeans. So it's like, okay, this is weird. Okay. Yeah. But then if you do invite them in, that's when the kind of the fear sets in, or
I guess like even if you don't invite them in, if you refuse, like the first story, the Abilene, Texas,
refuse their what they want,
then they'll get angry, and then you feel that this is not just a kid.
Yeah. So it's kind of it's creepy. It's creepy. I don't like things that make innocent things look creepy.
Yeah.
So like, stop doing that.
Oh man. Do you have more stories?
I do. I have 2 more.
Cool.
Okay. This one says, I had a real encounter. I had a real encounter.
Okay.
It was real.
I believe you.
I believe you.
Immediately. I am sold.
I'm sold. Done.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a real encounter.
I had a real encounter. I was working in an office that did mainly business-to-business sales and rentals. Since we weren't in a great part of town and we weren't exactly open to the public, I kept the door to our office locked. The only way to work the lock was with a key from either side. I had stepped outside to go on a sales call. We had tint on our door that allowed me to see out, but was mirror tint from the outside. I tended to look out before leaving because it was a rough area and I was a young female working alone. This was about 12 years ago, so I was mid-20s. I looked out and there were 2 young men walking about a block from me. No big deal. I could easily be safely to my car before they reached where I was. Before I knew it, the kids, both looked around 15-ish, were much closer than they should have been, like they had walked a city block in a split second. My flight or fight kicked in. I had no reason to be afraid, but I felt deep fear. So I went back inside and locked the door from the inside. I'm not even sure how to describe the fear I felt that led me to rush back inside. These kids started banging on the door. Only one of the two spoke. He said, "We need a phone. Let us in." I yelled no through the door. He kept banging on my glass door so hard it was vibrating. I threatened to call the cops. They kept banging and begging to use the phone. I finally got brave enough to get a better look at them so I could give a description to the police, and their eyes were pitch black. I'm not super religious, but I just yelled, "In the name of Jesus Christ, I command you to leave." And they disappeared, just vanished.
Oh.
I had never heard of the BEK phenomenon before this event.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's weird. Like,
that one seems to have just the way she got rid of them seems to suggest that they are demonic.
Demonic, yeah. Which is not something that's attached to every story.
Yeah.
There's that creepy, odd feeling or the feeling of fear, but there's never been most of the stuff I read wasn't like, oh yeah, if you can get rid of them by, saying Christ's name or God's name or something like that or praying like that. That's not part of the so-called legend. It's just you see them, just don't let them in.
Yeah.
That
is creepy.
That is creepy.
This is demonic. DEMONIC.
Wow.
I don't like that.
I don't either. My last one is kind of long.
Okay.
But it does happen in Cannock Chase.
Oh. More modern. Well, obviously, if it's on Reddit, it's more modern.
Yeah, it's more modern. It is more modern. I was trying to look and see when there was if there has a date on it. Oh, no. Okay. Okay, I'm going to read this. I might trim it down just a little bit, some of the sentence, because they get really detailed.
Cool.
If you have ever heard of Cannock Chase in the UK, you probably also heard a lot of ghost stories surrounding it. The most famous one is the Black-Eyed Children. I've heard a lot of the stories, but never really believed it myself. Me and my friends Sam and Becky run a fairly successful paranormal YouTube channel. We mostly film around the West Midlands and in so-called haunted locations. We mainly just do stuff like using a Ouija board and pretend we're making contact with spirits.
Oh, great.
Don't do that.
Yeah, don't.
Don't do that. Me and Becky will be the people on the channel who go out and try and communicate. And Sam is the cameraman who will throw a rock in the background so we can go, oh, what was that? So they're kind of doing it tongue in cheek.
Proof. All those ghost hunter shows are.
Yeah. What was that? Oh, I tapped you on the shoulder. Was it you or was it a ghost?
Was it a ghost?
They do say this helps their channel get some good views and they get a little income on top of their day job. So
someone just walked by the window.
Cool.
Anyway, oh my gosh. I just remembered the Black-Eyed Kids that we saw.
Oh my gosh.
We'll tell that after this.
Okay. I forgot.
My gosh. Yeah. Okay.
I'm creeped out
Keep
now.
going with your story. Okay. We've got a little ghost hunter YouTube.
We got little ghost hunter YouTubers.
Uh-huh.
We were celebrating our 4th anniversary of doing this YouTube channel, and we wanted to do a special video. Living in Wolver... Ooh, I'm going to...
I want to go lock the front door.
Go lock the front door.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, go do that. It's cool. People, yeah, do that. Dun, dun, dun. Cool. Oh, okay.
The deadbolt was locked.
Oh.
You must have done that because I didn't go out.
Weird. Okay. Back to our story.
Wouldn't that be fascinating if the Black-Eyed Kid locked our door for us? That's great.
No.
If they can lock it, they can unlock it.
Right. That's not great.
Yeah.
That's not great. I think I did lock it when I brought Cake back in, though, because it was dark time.
Okay. It's the dark times.
It's the dark times. Okay. Where were we? Yes, the YouTubers. They're celebrating their 4th anniversary of their YouTube channel, and they wanted to do a special video. So Cannock Chase is about a half-hour drive away, so they made sense to do it in such a popular location. We arrived there dead on midnight and filmed for a few hours with nothing happen. During our usual little Ouija board, stop doing that, We called on the black-eyed kids to make contact with us. We mocked and imitated them and even had Becky act like she had been possessed. So they're just goofing off for their little video. When we were finished, we decided to head back to our car. We were having a good bit of a laugh, and Sam was going to take the footage home with him to edit. When we arrived at our car, Becky noticed a couple of kids who must have been no older than 15 in the background. They were slowly making their way to the car. Sam made a comment about how that was kind of ironic and a little bit creepy, but we got in our car and drove off without waiting to see what they wanted. I know, kind of a thing to do, but we didn't want to become the victim of a robbery or anything. The next night, I was lying in bed when all of a sudden my dog started going absolutely crazy downstairs. I went down to see what was going on. As I got closer, I remember this immense feeling of terror coming over me. My dog was facing the door, hackles up. There was a knock on the door. I looked out of the window and I immediately felt sick to my stomach. 2 children. One boy around 15 and one girl who must have been no older than 11 were standing outside. "You must let us in," the boy said. "We need to call our mother." The way that he spoke was not typical of children from Wolverhampton at all. He sounded posh, but something was off in the tone. I can't quite make out what, though. "Why do you need to call your mom?" I asked. This time the girl spoke. "You must let us in," she said. "Our mother will be very worried." I felt my hand going for the door. I was terrified. In my subconscious, I knew that what they were exactly, but I was almost like in a trance. I was oblivious to my dog going crazy behind me when all of a sudden he did something that he's never done before. He bit me in the back of the leg. He bit me so hard that it drew blood. I snapped out of it then. I immediately pulled away from the door. The 2 came to the window and stared at me. Their eyes were black, completely black. This time they spoke together.
I got chills.
I know. "You wanted to speak to us last night, but we couldn't catch up with you. You must let us in. It won't take too long."
Oh, what? What won't take too long?
I know.
What?
I'm like, no.
You must
I remember
let us
grabbing
in.
my dog and running upstairs. The knocking continued all night. It was getting louder and more furious as the night went on. Only when there was daylight did they stop.
Ha.
There's more. Okay.
Okay.
I immediately called Sam and Becky and told them what happened. They told me that the same thing happened to them too, but they couldn't snap out of it. They let them in.
Oh.
I asked them what happened. They said the kids walked around the house a bit and then they left. They said that the whole time they were there, they also felt this immense sense of terror and doom. We never did upload the video to YouTube. Doing so just made it feel if we had done that, it would have been inviting them to come back. A few weeks later, I got a message from Sam's brother. Sam and Becky had been involved in a car accident. They had been driving near Cannock Chase when they lost control of the car and ended up wrapping it around a tree. They didn't make it.
Oh.
I have no way of telling for sure whether them letting the black-eyed children into their house was the cause for this, but the fact that they did and that they died near Cannock Chase and I didn't makes me think that maybe if I had let them in, I would be dead too. I still get nightmares of them. I still sometimes worry that they're going to stand outside my door one day and ask me to let them in. I wake up in the middle of the night screaming, terrified. I spend hours at night debating whether to take a peek outside of the window because if I do and they're there, they may see me. But the thought of not looking is equally terrifying because what if they're just there, patiently waiting for me to slip up? Well, I won't, do you hear? I won't. I've taken precautions now. I've gotten myself some more dogs. Lots of dogs, in fact, because if one of them can stop me from opening the door, maybe a half a dozen will scare them off for good.
Is this Cruella de Vil?
I don't know.
That's why she wants the dogs. She's just trying to run from black-eyed kids.
It says, I never leave the house without them. They follow me everywhere. Some people think that I'm crazy, but I'm not crazy. I'm just being safe because they're not going to get me. I promise, I swear, they're not going to get me.
Oh.
That one, like, I almost didn't include it because it was long, but it was also like kind of like
it's very well written, and I'm sure that it's fake. But like,
yeah,
that I want to rewrite a Cruella de Vil origin story now.
Her whole story is just like those black-eyed kids. The dogs protected me.
The dogs are going to protect me.
All the dogs.
Yeah.
I mean, that's better than her actual story, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is demonic. DEMONIC.
I mean, yeah. It's a little creepy urban legend.
I prefer the alien theory.
I like the alien theory. That they're just aliens.
They just called the men in black. Hey, give us a ride. You know where our spaceship is.
You know where our spaceship is.
Yes.
Can we use your telegraph?
My favorite Earth food is apples with ketchup.
The way you just did your eyes right there was very creepy. Okay. Like, don't do that to me.
I just rolled them.
It was like they just went from one side to the other. Like,
oh, okay.
Just weird.
I'm trying to recreate it. I probably look like
no, yeah, that one was just kind of like, that was just like, oh gosh. Anyway, so black-eyed kids. If children approach you and they speak very very eloquently for children of their age, and they want to be let in, maybe say no.
Don't let them in.
Yeah.
Lock the door.
Lock the door and say, "I'll call your mother for you," or just
what's the phone number?
Down the road to the police department or the homeless shelter or whatever, or like go to the library, go do something else. Just leave my door.
So our story about black-eyed kids, we don't actually know if they had black eyes.
I think they were.
This is what we like to say because,
it's our little.
It's creepy. We have Blink cameras set up outside of our house. And there's one that is on the corner of our house. Okay, so our house is like 50 feet, would you say, back from the road?
Probably about 50 or 60 feet.
Yeah, 50 or 60 feet. And it's just like a kind of dirt lot. And then you hit the road.
Yeah.
And so where
there's drives on either side of it.
Yeah,
so like it's just this little. We're like this little building in the middle of two driveways.
Rectangular building.
Yeah,
like take notes. We're triangulating ourselves.
Yeah, we're totally. I mean, our address. Yeah, we need to fix that. Don't do that.
Anyway, the camera is mounted on the corner of the house, and it's looking at this dirt lot. And on the far side of the dirt lot is a sidewalk that runs along one of the drives that goes along the house. We got a motion activation notification, and usually like we have in our settings that the camera records, like once the motion activation is triggered, it records for 30 seconds. And this one got triggered and only recorded for like less than 2 seconds. We opened up the footage and there were just three kids standing on the sidewalk facing the other driveway, just like right next to our house. They weren't facing our house, but they were looking like
they were looking parallel to our house. Like,
yeah. Like toward the other drive, like across the dirt lot.
Mm-hmm. Just standing there. They were all lined up right on the edge of the sidewalk, like toes exactly on the edge of the sidewalk. 3 of them.
3 kids just standing there,
still,
looking straight ahead, and then 2 seconds, boom, the footage cuts out.
And the camera went offline.
And the camera goes offline. And we've been having problems with that camera ever since. Like, it's not dead batteries. It just camera offline.
Yeah.
It's creepy.
Weird.
And like, stupidly, I didn't even save the video, so I can't even post it.
It doesn't auto-delete. But yeah, I wish we could have kept that one. Downloaded it. I forgot to.
Yeah.
Or maybe I did and maybe it went away. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's just gone.
The footage is gone.
I do still have the creepy footsteps from the other side of the house. I have that one.
I don't like that at all.
Yeah. That's a different story though, for another time.
I don't like that one.
Yeah. But yeah, that's our experience with possible black-eyed kids.
Yeah.
It was very weird. And it's not unusual to have kids running around the neighborhood.
Not at all.
We live in a very, like, it's a small town vibes, kids run around at night.
Mm-hmm. And this was like evening. It was still a little daylight out.
Yeah.
And we also have a camera on this other side of the house. If they had came up, like...
Oh, yeah. If they had come up through the back alley.
If they come through the back alley, it would have triggered that camera.
But it didn't.
And the camera that did triggers way far out from where they appeared.
Yeah.
Like it will trigger out by the road. It's got like 100 feet or something radius.
It should have triggered them approaching that spot where they were standing, but it did not.
They literally just were standing there and then disappeared. The camera cut off and it's had issues ever since.
Yeah.
So it's just a little weird. Just weird stuff. And it's probably just a computer glitch or it just doesn't connect to the Wi-Fi correctly, or because it's in full sun, it's just glitching out. But, it's fun to be a little... I'm the skeptic. I'll debunk it.
But it's fun to tell stories.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
Just a little silliness. Little silliness to go with our urban legends.
Just a bit of silliness, really.
The BEKs.
The BEKs.
Oh, I do remember this saying BEK triggered one little memory of Brian. He said he was...
Who's Brian?
After Brian Bethel, the guy who allegedly started this creepypasta. He said after he was on that Monsters and Mysteries, he started getting a lot of different places calling for interviews, and which is why he kind of quit doing. He was like, this isn't sensationalism. I'm not trying to to do this. I just want to do my, go about my life. But he said there was someone called from, I think it was South Korea. And he said the woman wanted to do an interview for something. And she kept saying, you have photo of Beck. And she was like, tell us about Beck. And he's like, I don't know Beck. He's like, I don't know Beck. Like, he was literally thinking Beck. And she was like, no, the Beck, the children. And he's like, oh, she's reading BEK as Beck. Yeah. And he's like, I don't have photos of Beck. And she says, no, but you have photos of Beck. And he's like, I don't have any pictures. I will tell you my story, but I don't have any pictures. But eventually he did tell her the story, but she just kept asking for the photos of Beck. And I just like, baby, so why don't you kill me? I love Beck. Anyway, I just, that just popped in my head because I have BEK written so many times. Well, what are we going to talk? What are you going to talk about, Jess?
We're going to
we've creeped out ourselves with the strange things walking down the sidewalk.
Well, I'm going to start.
Is it going to get more?
No.
Okay, good.
Maybe. I don't know. It depends on what you believe in. I'm going to start with a little experiment, though. You and I are both going to be sort of test subjects here.
Okay.
I have 5 cards right here.
Okay.
On each one is a different symbol.
Oh, no.
There is a square, a circle, a star, a cross, and 3 squiggly lines. So I'm going to hold them up one by one in a random order with the symbols facing me. And I'm going to think really hard about what the symbol is.
Okay.
And try to send or project the symbol to you with my mind. And you have to focus on receiving that signal and guess what it is.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. All right. I'm getting in the zone here.
All right, first one.
Square.
Second one.
Squiggly lines.
Third one.
Star.
Fourth one.
Circle.
And fifth one.
Triangle? I don't remember.
That wasn't even the option.
I was like, wait, what's the fifth one?
The last option was a cross.
Cross. Oh, jeez.
Dude, 3 of 5. You got 3 of 5 right. You got the square, the squiggly lines, and the circle. The very first one was the square, and you got it right. And I was like,
so I
wasn't
closed my
actually
eyes
expecting
and
that.
I saw a square.
Yeah.
Like, I have ESP.
Yep. Square, squiggly lines, and circle were correct. Okay, so that we are talking about ESP, and that particular test was designed by a man named J.B. Rhine in the early 1930s at Duke University in North Carolina.
Boop, boop.
In his investigation into extrasensory perception, which is what we're talking about, and apparently you have it. So
creepy.
Either you have it or I'm really good at projecting my thoughts to you. So,
Indigo child.
Indigo children. Oddly enough, they did not come up in any of my research.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So anyway.
Every time I see those cards with the symbols on them, I just see the opening few minutes of Ghostbusters.
Oh, yeah.
Bill Murray.
They're used in a lot of things. Like you see them in Stranger Things. You see them in, what's that one with Jeff Goldblum and Cyndi Lauper?
Oh, good vibes? Is it just vibes?
I think it's just vibes.
I think it's just vibes.
Yeah.
That one is
it's there.
Amazing.
And you see them in every movie or TV show that talks about ESP or testing kids for ESP. It's either that or dice. They were used for testing telekinesis. No.
Yeah. That's when you can move stuff.
That's when you move stuff. Yeah. Anyway, we're talking about ESP.
Cool.
Also called sixth sense or Cryptesthesia.
Cryptesthesia. I don't know that word.
Cryptesthesia. It's a claimed paranormal ability pertaining to reception of information not gained through the recognized physical senses, but sensed with the mind. So, like, you closed your eyes and you saw a square when I was holding up the stupid square card. So, like, we freak out about that later. I just want to get through my notes now.
3 out of 5.
3 out of 5.
Bad.
Yeah, 3 out of 5 ain't bad.
2 out of 3 ain't bad, but 3 out of 5 ain't bad either.
So the term ESP was adopted by J.B. Rhine to denote psychic abilities such as intuition, telepathy, psychometry, clairvoyance, empathy, and their transtemporal operations as precognition or retrocognition. We'll get into more of that later.
Okay, no, precog is like precog is ahead of
seeing the future.
Yeah.
Retrocognition is the past, but that falls under one of the 7.
Easy.
Yeah. Well,
just read history books. No, I know it's not. I know that's not what they're talking about. But like, oh, I saw this thing that happened in the past.
I know. Oh, I was there.
I was there because I read the book.
It. Yeah.
Right, go ahead.
So
Sorry.
it's theorized that ESP is actually the intuitive whispering of the earliest form of consciousness, extracting survival information from the environment. So it's like this sort of sense beyond your physical body that kicks in.
It's your gut instinct.
It's your gut instinct.
The primal instinct. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are 7 types of ESP.
Oh my goodness, I didn't know that.
Yeah, me either. I actually got this from a website of a practicing medium in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
If you Google types of ESP, you'll hit a lot of numbers. People will say 3 main types of ESP. Some people say 5 types. This was the only source that had 7 types. So I was like, you know what? I'll just go ahead and include that because...
Yeah, because it's there. It's information.
Yeah. So there's precognition, which is the ability to see into the future. Mm-hmm. There's retrocognition, which is the ability to see into the distant past. It can be as simple as recognizing a person or place, sort of similar to deja vu.
Okay.
Or people with retrocognition may also be able to recall details of past events that they were not a part of.
Oh.
Number 3, clairvoyance, the ability to see things that are happening to someone else. There's telepathy, which is reading another person's thoughts or communicating with others using their mind.
I want to be able to do that.
I know. Well, I don't want to read someone's thoughts.
I want to be able to control it.
Yeah.
Like not just be like walking around and everybody's
Hearing
thoughts
everybody.
are popping. That would drive me nuts. But
that's too much.
I would like to be able to be like, what are you thinking about right now?
Yeah. There is clairaudience, which is the ability to hear the events that are happening to someone else.
Oh.
So you're basically hearing through someone else's ears.
Weird.
There's clairsentience, when someone perceives a feeling throughout their body. People with this ability can usually tune into other people and places through vibrations and auras.
It's all vibrations,
it's all vibrations, Howard. So clairsentience, from what I gather through this short little explainer, is that it's just like I'm getting bad vibes from this person, or you are able to, maybe it falls into empathy as well.
Yeah. Why might I have that?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. So when someone perceives a feeling throughout their body, can tune into other people and places through vibrations and auras. So yeah, like you get a bad feeling.
Like upstairs at the big house.
Yeah, clairsentience.
Okay.
And then there's also mediumship, communicating with the dead by channeling their spirits. Most mediums have several types of ESPN. ESP that allow them to access information such as clairvoyance and clairaudience. And I don't consider mediumship as part of ESP. I really think it was only included in this list because this guy,
the website you got it from,
is a medium.
Yeah, I would set that aside.
Yeah,
in a different vein.
And like,
I'm not going to go into my personal beliefs on that.
I know
because
mediums are all garbage, pretty much.
Yeah.
So,
like I stand with Harry Houdini.
And I can see mediums saying, "Oh, I have several forms of ESP that allow me to do this," because it is like an extrasensory pseudoscience kind of a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's what they're trying to sell. So,
well, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that was included. That was number 7, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Going back to J.B. Rhine and his experiments at Duke University, he and his wife, Louisa E. Rhine, they worked together in the psychology lab from the 1930s to the 1960s. Louisa concentrated on being out in the field collecting accounts of spontaneous cases from people who reported psychic abilities. So she was like the field agent.
Okay.
At the time of her death, she was recognized as the foremost researcher of spontaneous psychic experiences and has been referred to as the First Lady of Parapsychology.
Oh, wow. So spontaneous would be like you're just going about your day. You have no training.
Yeah.
Or no earlier, like, oh, I think I might have this. But you just, something happens and you just go, whoa.
Like, oh, yeah.
I knew that piano was going to fall before I saw the rope break or something. So, okay.
And so people would write to the parapsychology lab at Duke University. She would go through and respond to these letters from people who hear about the lab's work and what they're doing. She analyzed thousands of real-life experiences from the letters people sent to her and laid the groundwork for their classification within parapsychology. So she would be like, oh, that's a case of clairaudience. That's a case of retrocognition. She would classify them and then go out and interview people and talk to them about their experiences. J.B. Rhine worked pretty much only in the laboratory there at Duke. He would define the term. He coined a lot of terms, and ESP was one of them. Psi, that was another one. Pretty much anything related to external sensory stuff. So his work in the lab revolved around designing experiments to test for ESP.
Okay.
And carrying out the experiments. Jeez. One of those was the cards that we just did. The cards that you see, like we talked about in movies, TV shows, they were formerly called Zener cards, but now they're just called ESP cards.
Oh, okay.
All right. In 1938, a psychologist by the name of Joseph Jastrow wrote that much of the evidence for extrasensory perception collected by Rhine and other parapsychologists was anecdotal, biased, dubious, and the result of faulty observation and familiar human frailties. Rhine's experiments were discredited due to the discovery that sensory leakage or cheating could account for all his results, such as the subject being able to read the symbols from the back of the cards and being able to see and hear the experimenter to note subtle clues. He was working in the parapsychology lab from the 30s to the 60s. None of his work really led to any solid proof that ESP is an actual thing.
Wow. 30 years.
Yeah. Like he actually
might be. They're like, okay, JB, you've been here for 30 years. What'd you find out? Maybe.
Yeah.
Go talk to my wife. She's got a lot of letters.
He did a lot of experiments on the students there at Duke, and I have a fun fact about this. I first learned about ESP from a book that my mom read to me and my sister when we were kids. No.
Oh.
She read that one to us,
That's the
too,
first
though.
time I heard of ESP.
Yeah. So it is like...
I'm older than you.
Similar to... I love A Wrinkle in Time. She read that to us, too. It's a middle grade book, and she would read a couple chapters to us before we went to bed at night. It's called A Gift of Magic by Louise Duncan. It was published in 1971.
I feel like I've read that one too, but I don't remember it.
It's about a grandmother who gives her grandchildren distinct gifts. One is given the gift of music, one is given the gift of dance, and the main character is given the gift of magic. And the gift of magic is basically ESP. It allows her to sense events that are happening in places she's not physically present and to read other people's minds.
Okay, I didn't read this book.
Yeah. So I was talking to my mom about that book the other day, and she said that when she read it as a kid, she did a little hyper-focused deep dive into ESP. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to look up the book. I'm going to look up, because I didn't remember much about the book. And I found out that the author, Lois Duncan, actually based the ESP elements of the story on experiments that were conducted on her by J.B. Rhine at Duke University.
What?
Yeah.
That's nuts.
And I did some digging, but I couldn't find any more details about that. Even on her Wikipedia page, it doesn't say anything about it. It just says it on the Wikipedia page about the book.
Oh, so hidden information.
Yeah.
Interesting.
She was only a student at Duke for about a year before she dropped out.
Mm-hmm.
So it was probably just one of those cases where like, oh, they have a parapsychology lab. That's cool. I'll go sign up for extra credit and have some experiments done on me.
Sure,
and
why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was cool.
That is cool.
Like I'm doing this research on JB, and the book that I was talking to my mom the other day about and introduced me to the concept of ESP, the author was part of the experiment.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Synchronicity.
It's crazy. So another thing that happened during that 30 years in the parapsychology lab when J.B. Rhine was there was he got a letter in 1957 from Colonel Frank F. Carr of the U.S. Army Intelligence Board. He wrote about a case that was in all the papers at the time about William Foos and his paroptic daughter, Margaret Foos. So paroptic is being able to see things without using your eyes, basically.
Okay.
So the letter says, Dear Mr. Rhine, a representative of this office recently attended a demonstration of alleged psychic phenomena by Mr. William Foos of Richmond, Virginia, and his associates. During the demonstration, it was stated that a similar demonstration had been performed in your presence. If you did, in fact, witness the subject demonstration, this office is seriously interested in your evaluation of the demonstration and your reaction to the claims of Mr. Foos.
Mm.
A reply at your earliest convenience will be appreciated. Sincerely yours, Frank F. Carr.
I'm writing from the government. Your earliest convenience is now.
Please. Yes.
Write us back.
So Foos was making the extraordinary claim that by developing their powers of extrasensory perception, he could, quote, teach the blind to see, to the point where they could safely drive a car.
Oh, my.
Yeah. So the FBI also investigated Foos. And I have a little screenshot of their documentation. This is why I ended up on the FBI website again.
Again, man.
Yeah.
It's the third time in the last month and a half.
Yeah. So they stated, very simply, Foos claims the ability to teach the blind to see, in 6 months to teach a person without eyes to see sufficiently well to drive an automobile safely. He disclaims any supernatural power and, not being a scientist or physician, has no technical or scientific explanation. He merely states that a person can do what he makes up his mind to do. He claims to have taught not only members of his family, but approximately 25 other individuals as well, including persons completely blind, to see with 100% efficiency.
That's terrifying.
The FBI was definitely interested.
Well, obviously, for a multitude of reasons.
Yeah.
Like, hey, don't tell blind people that they can go drive because you've convinced them that they can see.
If this thing is a possibility.
Yeah, let's also come back. Hey, have you done this? Let's have a little chat and maybe get your own private office.
Yeah. In their report, they said, should his claims be well-founded, there is no limit to the value which would accrue to the FBI. Complete and undetectable access to mail, the diplomatic pouch, visual access to buildings. The possibilities are unlimited insofar as law enforcement and counterintelligence are concerned. So they were very interested. So Foos, I mentioned his daughter, paroptic daughter, Margaret.
Margaret, yes.
So his demonstrations were basically he would blindfold his daughter and have her, recite, something that he would have an audience member write something down on a piece of paper and hold it in front of her and say, read this while she was blindfolded.
Okay.
And she would be able to. Would be able to. I realized I kind of stuttered there. It sounded like wouldn't. Back to JB at Duke, he responded to the colonel that wrote to him, making inquiries about this guy. He said, "Dear Colonel Carr, I have your letter of inquiry about Mr. William Foos of Richmond, Virginia. Mr. Foos and his daughter did demonstrate in this laboratory what he represented was the ability of his daughter to read and perceive objects when effectively blindfolded. The demonstration was, however, a complete failure so far as his claim was concerned. He did not demonstrate any success whatever when provision was taken to exclude the possibility of the girl peeking. He apparently is having his, quote, success in his demonstrations because of the fact that, with the appearance of elaborate blindfolding, most people are deluded into thinking that no trickery is possible. This is, however, an old stunt, as the literature on the subject will show. Yet every generation again seems to be a good audience for such a performance because there are always enough people who do not know what can be done under a blindfold. If Foos demonstrates for you again, take a heavy towel and put it all over her face and under her chin and tie it loosely behind her head. If she objects that it is smothering her, and she probably will, just hold the towel carefully between her and the object she is to identify or the paper from which the writing is written. Of course, there are other tricks to watch out for. It is better to let her identify playing cards than to write something down, and better to keep Mr. Foos himself from seeing the cards. I wonder, of course, what he is up to with you folks. This makes about the 10th or 12th time I have answered this question, so Mr. Foos at least deserves E for effort, but not, I fear, for some of the other virtues. Sincerely yours, J.B. Ryan."
This guy's got a little bit of humor there.
I know.
What's this boy up to? You guys, from the Pentagon keep writing me letters.
I know. What's he up to
with you folks? Just put a towel. You blindfold her. Just put something where she can't cheat.
Yeah, just don't let him do the demonstration.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Foos was the one saying, I can teach anybody this, and I can teach other people how to teach other people how to do this. So he was
pyramid scheme.
He was trying to create this whole racket.
For just $5.99 a month, because we're 1950s.
Yeah.
For just $5.99 a month, you too can teach blind people to see.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
He tried to start a whole organization.
Wow.
Yeah, he was really trying to go somewhere with this. So the FBI...
Except he had all these blind people crash in their cars. Oh my gosh, that's so sad.
So the FBI documentation actually goes on for several pages. They kept this guy on their radar, but over and over again, Foos was unable to provide any actual results.
Weird.
And so eventually, by the end of the investigation, they lost all confidence that Foos would ever be able to deliver on any of his claims.
Good for them.
Even so, the FBI vault, the file that I had, contains documents through the 1960s, not necessarily regarding Foos, just further investigations into ESP. So several years were spent researching ESP before it was abandoned.
Yeah.
And the FBI...
Before it was abandoned.
Yeah, in quotes. The FBI wasn't the only one to investigate ESP. There was also some studies done by the CIA.
Mm-hmm.
In another old document that I read...
what watch list are we on now?
Yeah. Now we're messing with the CIA. But that's a little
bit scarier than the FBI.
I mean, these documents are from the 70s. They've been released to the public, so whatever. General observations and recommendations made by the CIA. A large body of reliable experimental evidence points to the inescapable conclusion that extrasensory perception does exist as a real phenomenon, albeit characterized by rarity and lack of reliability. It appears as a low-capacity, high-noise information channel exhibiting data rates orders of magnitude less than normal perceptive processes.
I understood some of those words.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's there,
low capacity,
but it's
high noise information channel. So their investigations were solely trying to use ESP as a way to transfer information.
Okay.
So a lot of the talk revolves around just information, getting information. That was the whole low capacity, high noise
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. Because, I mean, they would want a way to pass information between agents without corrupting,
And when I hear low capacity, high noise, I just think of like static on the radio and barely catching small snippets of words that you can barely hear. So not reliable.
Yeah.
And rare. Almost by definition, extrasensory perception must involve in an essential way the operation of the human mind. So you have that unpredictability as well. In 1995, a report was released that confirmed the U.S. government had been using psychics and remote viewing for military intelligence purposes.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So that happened. And in the 1970s, this is...
lizard people.
Yeah. So...
JFK had it done.
Some of the information that they released in 1995 was, in the 1970s, a man named Uri Geller caught the eye of the CIA. Geller made several psychic claims, from being able to bend metal spoons with his mind to reading people's minds. The CIA conducted a number of experiments to test Geller's mind reading by asking him to copy a picture that was being drawn by another person who was in a different room, or even sometimes miles away. Often Geller failed at this task, but there were some odd coincidences in the bunch of tests that they did that seemed to convince the CIA of his legitimacy.
Interesting.
Geller himself stated, "I did many things for the CIA. They wanted me to stand outside the Russian embassy in Mexico and erase floppy disks being flown out by Russian agents.
What? Okay.
I had to get near someone signing a nuclear deal and bombard him with sign, sign, sign."
Oh my gosh.
Like sending the message to sign a nuclear deal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
According to the same CIA report, the conclusion around whether paranormal and psychic phenomena are real or not is, quote, unclear. However, what few positive results they did get were not strong enough to be relied on in a significant way. It's basically like we can't prove it, but it is a phenomena.
Kind of the circumstantial evidence versus like concrete evidence. Like, well, yeah, I mean, this happened, but
and like there's a lot that seems anecdotal.
Yeah, and like you have to be able, like scientifically, an experiment happens, you get a result. Can you duplicate it? Can you duplicate it? Can you duplicate it? And that's where it becomes scientific fact, is the duplication.
If you can duplicate it in a similar way multiple times.
Yeah.
And with ESP, you can't.
You can't. Yeah.
So from the actual CIA documentation, I'm going to read the last little paragraph that they had here. Extrasensory information should at best supplement normal information or guide its collection, but should never serve in place of it. Even such limited use of this information channel would seem to require much more detailed investigation of its character and limitations. A certain bare minimum of understanding, or at least experience, is required to establish confidence. Basically, they're saying if you use it, it should at best be a supplement to actual normal information.
Yeah. So do the regular spying, but
you can also use it,
try it
to guide in your collecting actual information, but should never be completely relied on as a sole source.
Okay.
So that's the CIA's experimentation briefly in the 70s. I'm sure it's ongoing.
I have no doubt it's ongoing.
Yeah. I mean, there was the whole MK Ultra thing with Psy Warriors. I have an experience with ESP.
Okay.
And I saved this for the end.
Okay.
So let me tell you a story. My grandparents used to have a horse. The horse lived in a field behind my parents' house. You know that field out there? And my parents had a dog, tiny little dog. His name was Yoli. And him and this horse, whose name was Resnick, they were best friends. And like they would go, like Yoli would go run out in the field with them all the time. It was adorable, the relationship between this dog and this horse. So this was while I was in college. So I was like visiting up here for a weekend and staying in the upstairs bedroom. And there is a window in that bedroom that overlooks the field where the horse lives. And there was, in the morning, I woke up to Yoli, the dog, just barking, which isn't really unusual.
Mm-hmm.
It is sort of unusual for him to just go like on and on and on. But I woke up to the sound of him barking, and just out of nowhere, the thought popped into my head that, holy crap, did the horse die or something?
Oh.
There was no reason to believe that this horse would just up and die.
Right.
But I looked out the window, and the horse was dead.
Oh, goodness.
Outside. And Yoli, poor dog, was just barking.
Barking at his buddy.
Yeah.
Poor thing.
Yeah, I saw that, and I was like, did I really just have that thought? You
did it.
It was so weird. It was so weird because, like, they still don't actually know what killed Resnick. They think he must have eaten something that caught, like, he was a healthy horse.
Mm-hmm.
He was older, but healthy.
Yeah.
So
Weird.
I had that random thought, no reason for it. And stuff like that, like smaller instances has
Mm-hmm.
happened at other times, but I don't actually remember. I just remember things happened and me being like, oh, like that one time with Resnick.
Earlier in the retro cog, you mentioned deja vu.
Uh-huh.
I've had some like weird little deja vu where like, have we had this conversation before? Because I know what you're going to say next, that kind of weird thing. But my weirdest deja vu moment was, so when I was very little, my parents lived in Ohio. They had a big farm. They had horses and other animals. I think my sisters were in 4-H or something. I don't know. But there was this one horse, a red and white paint, that they had gotten from a neighbor. And my uncle was there and was doing, the little pony rides. You put the kid on the horse and walk it around.
Uh-huh.
I was sitting on the horse, holding on to the saddle. I was probably 4 years old. Like, I was young. I remember I was holding on to the horn of the saddle, and my uncle was there, and he's leading the horse. And the horse, like, kind of tosses his head, bites my uncle's hand, and my uncle, like, reflexively just kind of jerks away, and the horse jerks away and runs away with me on it. And like, I held on and stayed on until it just ran to the barn, which was, not far away.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, let's do this again. That was fun. And, everybody's panicking. So fast forward to, I don't know timelines, but somewhere in the 2000s, my uncle, we'd kind of lost like contact between the family members and everything. We weren't like this really tight family. There was a lot of stuff going on, but my uncle is reaching out and kind of getting back in touch with my mom, his sister, and learns I like horses. And then like over the time, he's like, hey, I have this horse, come get it. You can have her. She's this paint horse or whatever. And I'm like, so me and my sister and my friend were like, we're going to road trip to Indiana, get this horse, bring her home. It's going to be great. But while we're there, we go and we meet the horse, and my uncle's like, here, you just get on her. I'll lead her around a little bit. And he said, like, I'll lead her around a little bit so you can just kind of feel what she feels like. And I'm like, whatever.
Like
I literally like I ride horses like every day, at that point. Like there were multiple horses I rode every day. But I was like, okay, sure. So he puts the tack on everything. I get on, and he starts walking across this field. And we barely walked 10 steps, and I got this wave of dizziness. And for a moment, I looked down at my hands. I saw little chubby child hands and little chubby child legs on the saddle. And I looked at my uncle, and I saw my uncle as he looked in 1970, whatever, 80, 79, 80, I don't know, whenever, walking this horse. And this same like red and white paint horse, but this one was not the one I was on. It was the one I was on when I was a child. Like, it was crazy. This full, and like I got dizzy. My sister and my friend were over on the fence, and they were like, are you okay? And my uncle like looks up at me, and I saw his face from when he was that age, like in the 70s. And like I grabbed the saddle horn really hard because I was about to fall, and that kind of snapped me out of it. And I was like, that was weird.
That's crazy.
And I was like,
that's retrocognition.
That's
Except
I have
it was
never
your memory, so
yeah, I have never had that big of a deja vu feeling.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, are you okay? Are you feeling dizzy? And I was like, no, but I just had this whole visual experience of you leading. And he was like, oh, when that horse bit me and took off with, like, he knew exactly what I was talking about. And it was just surreal.
Yeah.
It was just so, and that whole memory is like core memory locked in my head, both of them, the original and the deja vu moment. But it was just so weird and wild, the experience of it, like looking down and seeing those little kid hands holding on to a saddle, and not the saddle I was riding on.
Yeah.
And not the horse. I would like, really weird.
Yeah.
That's like my most weirdest mental thing, other than getting 3 of 5 cards.
Little foot. Yeah. Dude.
Do you want to do it?
Let's do my,
let me do it to you. See if you can get it. See if I can project.
I was going to say, let's do it in the after.
Oh, okay.
Where did I put the cards?
They're under the computer.
Speaking of and another thing. I'm going to be talking about a little bit of animal ESP.
Ooh.
Which is going to be fun.
Cool. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I'll probably talk some more about the Black Eyed Kids.
Cool.
Creepy stuff.
Okay.
Or maybe some, yeah.
All right. I'm scrolling up in my notes just so I remember what the symbols are. All right. Square, circle, a star, a cross, and squiggly lines. All right.
Okay. Ready?
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, I'm holding one up right now. Okay. First card.
Okay. Circle.
Second card.
Star.
Third card.
Squiggly lines.
Okay. Fourth card.
Square.
Final card.
Cross is the one I haven't done.
You got 2 out of 5.
Hey, between the two of us, we make a complete psychic.
We're a psychic. Woohoo.
That's cool.
That's cool. Our podcast has turned into a lot of brain stuff.
A lot of brain stuff. That's cool.
It's very cool. I like it, though. The brain is a fascinating thing.
Should we draw cards?
Oh, yeah. They're here.
While she's sorting the cards.
Shuffling, not sorting, because sorting would be cheating.
Yeah. While you're shuffling the cards. Patreon.com/JessandHids if you want to join the fun. That one's upside down. Oh, no. The thing's just sticking out. Yeah. You can also follow us on social media. Look for Jess and Hids Make Words. Sign up for our newsletter. You could do that on our website, jessandhids.com. And I think that's all the plugging I'm going to do. Y'all should know it by now.
That's all the things.
Other than please join our Patreon.
Yeah, we've got some fun things in the work for our patrons. So
yeah,
there is content for free, but there's not as much. And
not really. It's mostly here's what we're up to with all the paid
here's
patrons.
all the cool stuff we're doing with the other people. Yeah. But we do occasionally put some stories out there and that sort of thing. But yeah.
Okay.
Pick a card, any card.
Okay.
The square one.
If I hold it up and think about the topic really hard, maybe you'll be able to guess what it is.
Okay. Oh, haha.
This is okay. This is great. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. I just got super hot.
Oh man.
Don't mind.
Yay. Okay.
Okay. I'm super excited about this topic.
It's funny.
So.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, I'm going to think about my topic. Tell me what it is.
I don't even remember the topics we had on the list. Is
good.
It?
No, you won't get it.
I'm going to think about mine.
I have no idea. Cryptids. You can't even tell me.
I can't tell you. I can neither confirm nor deny.
I'm right.
I could just
fine.
deny.
It's always just deny.
Yeah. Oh man, it's gonna be great.
Yep.
War member.
Meow. Meow. War member.
War member. Do you have yours, or do I need to go first?
I'll go.
Okay.
Because I think my warm ember is gonna be Cake.
Aw, little Cake. She's talking about you. Hi.
Hey, sweetheart. She's a baby. When I was gone last weekend, you would message me and send me little pictures, and it made me happy. My biggest fear when I first moved out here was that Cake wouldn't like me.
Aww.
Or that, most dogs, I get along well with dogs, but I wanted her to really like me and really connect. And I was just worried that I would just be another human.
Yeah, she loves you.
But she does. She loves me. Aww. And she missed me while I was gone, and I missed her.
Cake, you've been a war member twice now.
I know. She is such a war member.
Yeah.
I have to give her, I forgot about her little treats.
Oh, yeah.
up there.
She's got a little bag of baked goods.
Little baked goods. There's little bakery. Wolfgang Pup.
Oh,
It's the Wolfgang Pup Bakery. And
Wolfgang Pup.
Wolfgang. Wow. So cake. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Delete all of that.
No.
What's your warm member? No, it's fine. I love it. What's your warm member?
My warm member is this little warm member bracelet that I'm wearing right now.
Aww.
We mentioned at the beginning that we're sending out these little bracelets for our Blade Dancer merch, and Hid's made one for me. And it's very cute. It's very warm member colors. Yeah, it's all like reds and oranges and gold letters on the little beads.
They're fun.
It makes me happy.
Yeah. Oh, I did want to say one last thing to plug. 2 things, but it's all one thing.
Cool.
If you have something you'd like us to talk about, drop it to us in an email at jessandhids@gmail.com.
JESSANDHIDS.
And another thing, if you want to ask us anything, we were talking about we did the Getting to Know You 21 questions.
Yeah, we played that
episode.
21 question game, and we thought it was really fun. So we thought maybe we should have another one at some point. And then we thought, Hids thought it was her idea to ask listeners for questions for us. So it's kind of like an Ask Me Anything situation.
Yeah. So if you want to ask us a question, we'll collect them, and you guys could send them in, and we'll compile them all together when we get a handful or so, and we'll do a little AMA, I guess. Yeah. I think that'll be fun. So yeah, that's the last thing I wanted to say. Do that.
Thank you for listening. Spread the word about our podcast. Our download numbers are climbing, and it's making us stupid happy.
So happy.
Like, so ridiculously happy.
We have 14 countries now, which is
crazy. We're in 14 countries. We got Hungary.
We got Hungary.
Yeah.
I'm hungry.
I am hungry, too, also. So we should
I'm Hungarian and I'm hungry.
I'm hungry.
I'm hungry. We should go eat. I need some protein in my life.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for sharing us with your friends and encouraging others to listen.
Yeah.
And we'll see you, or we'll talk to you next week.
We'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.